Have you ever wondered why gacha games characters are so appealing? Or why you feel that urge to instinctively pull for them? Well, we're going to do our best to help you understand how gacha games are designing characters directly aimed at your wallet. First, let us briefly familiarize ourselves with the business model of a character-based gacha. These live service games release content on a regular basis, which by extension requires regular maintenance. We remove the barrier of entry. Most gacha games are free to play, meaning all the revenue comes from selling in-game content, usually in the form of characters and their equipment. Content must sell in order to keep servers up and running, meaning they also need to be attractive enough so that players are willing to spend money and engage in gacha mechanisms to obtain them.
Yes! Yes!
Think about it for a minute. Who are your favourite characters and why you like them so much? As we know, attractiveness is highly subjective to our individual preferences. What we will break down are the specifics of an attractive character in the context of a gacha game. From the obvious eye-catching elements such as visuals and gameplay power, to more obscure reasons such as personality and story. The game we will be focusing on is none other than Genshin Impact by MiHoYo, but many of the concepts we will discuss will also be applicable to many other titles.
Well, there's no direct way to measure attractiveness. As every player has their own preferences, we can gauge a character's popularity, which often correlate closely with the appeal. To do this, we are focusing on three key elements that give us insight into a character's popularity. Fan-generated content. Specifically, we are looking at the number of tagged artwork on Pixiv, a well-known platform for fan art. Banner sales. This is where we get a clear picture of a character's financial impact, showing us the direct revenue that generated through banner pools. And character subreddits. By looking at dedicated Reddit communities, we can see how much discussion, hype, and engagement each character sparks among players. These three factors together provide a well-rounded view of how popular, and by extension, how attractive a character might be to the game's community. As of 9th October 2024, Genshin had introduced 89 playable characters, of which only 31 are male, comparing to 58 female characters. This disparity is noteworthy, especially when considering players' demographics. Statistics show that between 55% to 76% of Genshin's player base is male, suggesting that the game is more focused on catering to male players. Wanderer is one of the most popular male characters, and can be compared to Raiden Shogun, who is equally popular among female characters. A quick glance at fan art on Pixiv revealed a significant difference in quantity, with Raiden Shogun vastly outnumbering Wanderer in fan-generated content, banner sale, and subreddit members. This highlights the community's preference for female characters, suggesting that they are more appealing to the majority of Genshin's players. It becomes clear that all female banners consistently outperform all male banners, as studies suggested. The data supports that female character banners are proven to generate higher revenue than their male counterparts. The visual style of gacha game characters takes significant inspiration from Japanese animation, or anime, characterized by extensive use of line, shape, and stylized facial features. This approach originated due to the technical limitation of early days of animation, where images were drawn on cells to be layered. As a result, forms are simplified to bold, hard-edged shapes. In the design of Genshin's characters, this legacy continues. We see the use of clean lines, flat color, cell shading, and symbolic facial features. Despite the advancement in technology, this art style remained beloved and even sought after by many players. Bringing us back to Raiden Shogun. By breaking down and analyzing the visual design of these popular characters, we can uncover the specific elements that contribute to their attractiveness. To do this, we have divided the analysis into 3 key areas. Aesthetic design, the fundamental visual element and style that shapes the character's appearance. Cultural references, how the character design draw inspiration from existing culture and history. And sexual attraction, does the design intentionally create sexual appeals? If so, how is it achieved and presented? By examining these aspects, we can better understand how visual design helps turn characters like Raiden Shogun into fan favorites. Now let's dive into why Raiden Shogun's design is so captivating, making her one of the most beloved characters. Her visual design centered around 3 key elements: thunder, power, and elegance. Raiden Shogun's purple color palette immediately connects her to the electro element in-game, reinforcing her lightning association through electric effect and symbol in her design. Her splash art draws attention to her unsheathed sword, emphasizing her commanding presence and power. Gold accents throughout her outfit, including the detailing on her clothing, belt, and sword ornament, enhance her elegance, suggesting prestige and authority typically associated with royalty. Additionally, her design incorporates elements from Japanese culture, especially Shintoism, with the Mitsutomoe symbol and a modified kimono, featuring iconic long sleeve and a belt, adding depth and authenticity to her character. In her promotional videos, Raiden is almost always paired with her polearm or sword, underscoring her strength and authority. She is often framed centrally in symmetrical composition. As Andrew Loomis described in Creative Illustration, this evokes a dignity or religious nature. Overall, Raiden's visual design weaves together elements that make her both powerful and elegant, with varied detail from the color to the culture note. They link seamlessly to her role in the game, making her feel iconic and magnetic. Players are drawn to Raiden not just for her ability, but because her design tells a cohesive story of strength, nobility, and cultural depth, which make her all the more compelling. As mentioned earlier, Raiden Shogun's kimono has been altered, most notably with a shortened hemline, leaving only 2 fabric pieces to mimic the traditional full-length garment. This highlights a common theme in character design: sexual attraction. Studies show a strong link between nudity and sexualization of female characters, often emphasized by elements like cleavage. We categorize characters' clothing by neckline, sleeve length, and lower body clothing, analyzing how these factors contribute to overall design. For female characters, cleavage was also categorized. We also categorize a character's skin exposure into 3 body areas: torso, arm, and lower body, with 3 levels: covered, skin tight, or nude. In Raiden's case, her outfit featured a low collar revealing cleavage, 3/4 sleeves, and a short skirt. Her outfit includes skin-tight fabric covering most of her arm and lower body, but a small section of exposed thigh create a striking contrast against the dark colors. Her cleavage is categorized as voluptuous due to its exaggerated presence, further enhancing sexual appeal. These choices are clearly meant to reveal more skin and accentuate body shapes, in contrast to historical kimonos, which, even with low collars, always cover the lower body. This points to a deliberate focus on enhancing sexual attraction, largely catering to the game's majority male player base. Now let's talk about another fan favorite, Furina. Her visual design is a complete departure from Raiden Shogun. In just 3 months since her release, she's been tagged more than 4,000 times on Pixiv, solidifying her popularity. Furina's aesthetic design can be categorized as water, playful, and dramatic. As the Hydro Archon and ruler of Fontaine, Furina's design is all about water, with a color palette dominated by blues. Her splash art features wave-like shapes, really capturing that fluid and water imagery. In her promotional videos, her playful personality shines through constant movement and quick expression changes, creating a lively and unpredictable feel. Definitely a contrast to Raiden's more posed visuals. Furina's look pulls from 17th to 19th century Western European fashion, particularly men's clothing. Her outfit resembles a tailcoat with exaggerated tails and golden buttons, complete with a top hat, cravat, and ruff. And even though she wears shorts, the gold accents keep her firmly in Archon round, symbolizing nobility. When it comes to Furina's outfit, think turtleneck, long sleeve, and shorts. Totally different from Raiden's more overtly sexualized look. Her arm and torso are fully covered, and while her legs are exposed, the boy's style leans more into playfulness than sexual appeal. Plus, her cleavage, totally categorized as flat since it's not visible. In short, the design choices for Furina are way more subtle, suggesting a fun, playful nature rather than a focus on sexualization. The difference between Raiden and Furina really show that there are plenty of ways to create visually appealing characters that resonate with players.
As we touched on before, characters in gacha games don't just appeal to players through their looks alone, but also through their personalities and non-visual traits. Getting to know what a character likes, dislikes, and what they're capable of makes them much more relatable, almost like actual people.
Don't try and get me to cook. I can take care of anything else, but not that.
In an article titled "What Aspects of Gacha Games Keep the Players Engaged?", one participant said that they really enjoy getting to know all the different types of characters, and acquiring them feels like more than just obtaining a virtual item. In Genshin, after pulling a character, players unlock details about their life, intentions, and aspirations. As they continue playing with these characters, they also increase their friendship levels, unlocking even more information about them. This process helps players feel like they're building a relationship with the character, making them more than just gameplay tools. How do we actually get to know these characters without obtaining them? It's a gacha game. There's no way I have enough primos to pull every single one. You see, much of Genshin's gameplay is tied to its story, featuring all of the characters. MiHoYo puts in a ton of effort into creating these high-quality Archon quests, which are the main storyline of the game. Character-specific stories, which provide a more intimate experience, also drops alongside a new character's release. Both are free to play and can be enjoyed through a visual novel style format. MiHoYo's goal is to sell the characters to players on an emotional level, and they release the stories on a monthly basis to keep the engagement going. Let's take another look at Furina. She's not overly sexualized, aside from exposed legs, which, let's be honest, is just a Genshin trademark at this point. She remains as one of the most popular characters seen in her banner sales and fan art. Characters like Furina evolve throughout the main storyline, revealing hidden facets of their personalities.
Vocal cords ready, blood sugar replenished. Let the show begin!
Furina was introduced as a playful and entitled kid, in stark contrast to the seriousness we expect from previous Archons. As we dive deeper, the story unfolds beautifully, delivering one of the community's most well-received narratives as of date. As narratives are appealing to most gacha game players, let's quickly break down some of the specifics on how a well-written story can directly boost a character's popularity. When a character is so deeply woven into the main story, it gives players a huge reason to pull for them. It's not about the gameplay, it's about experiencing the lore. With Furina right here at the heart of everything that's happening, many players may have felt an urge to obtain her because of her significance to the lore.
After all, nothing is easier to fool than the senses.
But it goes deeper than just her position in the show. As the story unfolds, especially towards the end, we get a much more emotional glimpse into who Furina really is. Players saw her vulnerabilities, her insecurities, and ambitions laid bare, which made her feel more human, more relatable. This emotional depth is key in driving player attachment. And then of course, there's the community buzz. Furina became a hot topic across media platforms like TikTok, Reddit and Twitter. These discussions further boosted her popularity, creating a shared experience where players could bond over the theories, reactions, and fan art. When a character becomes this central to community conversations, it drives engagement beyond just gameplay. It builds a sense of excitement and connection, making Furina not just a character in the game, but someone players talk about, invest in, and celebrate. A well-produced story ties everything together, making Furina feel like more than just an Archon. She's a complex character who players want to understand and support, and with such a large cast, there's a character like Furina for everyone. Whether it's their personality, story, or unique quirks, players will eventually find someone that resonates with themselves, on a personal level. And that's how stories make characters so damn appealing. While visuals and aesthetics definitely make a character appealing, at the end of the day, a gacha game is still a game. Players need to feel a sense of progression to stay engaged. There's a big difference between admiring a cool splash art and actually using that character in-game. It's the gameplay that brings them to life, making them more than just pretty pixels on your screen. In gacha games, the gameplay loop is simple. Gather resources, pull for characters, upgrade your team, and tackle harder challenges. Stronger characters and enemies are introduced to keep things fresh, but if the enemies become too difficult, it can actually push players away, especially when rewards are often locked behind these challenges. Players are often forced to consider the meta, the most effective tactics available, when pulling for characters to keep progressing efficiently without feeling overwhelmed. With limited resources and the randomness of acquiring characters through gacha, the character's in-game power often becomes a deciding factor for appeal. Man, I really don't like this new character, but I'm already struggling a bit on the last abyss. It's probably a common thought for Genshin players approaching the endgame. And that's where the whole waifu versus meta debate comes in. It's been a hot topic in the community for ages, even with academic research trying to crack it, though most of the results stays pretty vague. This paper titled Power vs Appearance documents player interviews on our exact topic. One of the great points the authors found is that when building teams for difficult battles, all interviewees prefer to use more powerful characters, as it could take much longer to come up with a strategy with weaker characters. The research also compares the two different character appeals and the correlation to time allocation, which concluded that stronger characters are simply given more resources and time due to their gameplay benefits. This is important as players obviously have their preferences as to who they like, but are still almost forced to using characters they may not like, if they want to complete higher difficulty content for both rewards and progression. Our friend Genshin does a great job of balancing the normal gameplay to be completable with pretty much any character. This includes arc quests, character stories, events, you get the point. Other gacha titles that have more difficult content or relatively weaker characters may make the stronger characters more attractive, towards gameplay at least. Looking back to our character studies on Raiden and Furina, both of them are considered to be top tier in the meta when compared to other characters. At the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with being a meta slave and pulling characters purely for the gameplay. Whether it's one-shotting enemies, being unkillable, or zooming around the map at double speed, it definitely satisfies that power fantasy. And of course, there's no shame in pulling your favorite characters just because you love their looks, personalities, or stories either. The key takeaway here is that the in-game power can be a huge draw for players, and sometimes that power alone is enough to make people dive into the gacha. Well, there are many more reasons as to why characters are appealing, such as their rarity, collection value, and a whole nother topic on skins and cosmetics. If you want to learn more about gacha characters, check out the description, containing resources that we've looked at. Sadly, that's all we have time for, folks. Thanks for watching.